This is the news, August 2023 edition. As usual, let's start with some of the hottest new releases. Minichamps have released quite a few new 118th F1 2022 cars. They are the McLaren MCL36 of Ricciardo and Norris. Both cars are from the Resin collection and are based on the Bahrain Grand Prix. Unfortunately here the sidepods are empty as the vape sponsorship is prohibited on model cars, and there are no extra decals included with the model as far as I'm aware of. Also based on the Bahrain Grand Prix are the Alfa Romeo C42s of Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. These are also from the Resin collection. As I mentioned before, I'm really a sucker for the looks of this car. One thing I noticed Minichamps has done is that they added the small dots on the rear wings, and these are mandated by the FIA to measure the flex of the wings. It's also funny how Minichamps also adds this small detail on some cars, and then again not on some others like the McLaren for example. A very cool variant of the Alfa is the testing camo version of Bottas, Zhou and also test driver Kubica. This version has also been released by Spark in scale 1/18 earlier this year. Another resin release from the Bahrain Grand Prix are both Williams FW44s of Albono and King Latifi. And Minichamps loves Williams so much, they also did the Miami Grand Prix versions for both drivers. The only difference with the Bahrain Grand Prix version is the addition of the Duracell sponsorship on the car on the airbox. I do like how they incorporated it into the airbox with the iconic copperhead color of the batteries and also some accents on the rest of the car. And here too the FIA mandated dots on the rear wing are featured. Finally then they also released some versions of the Aston Martin AMR 22. There are the Stroll and Vettel versions from the Monaco Grand Prix on the full wet tires. And then of course there is a Vettel last race one from the 2022 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. This one comes in a limited edition with the special final lap helmet design Seb wore that race. It's also cool to see how Minichamps have noticed the very different style of rear wing Aston Martin used that race with these controversial end plates. And this one also has the small dots on the rear wing. Minichamps' diecast department then has also released some other cars. These are actually other race-specific versions of the cars they have already released. There is the Monaco Grand Prix version of the Red Bull RB18 of race winner Checo Perez. I already mentioned this one in the announcement section in the previous news video, but the model is out now, and there is also a CK Modelcar special version of it with a different style of box. Another two CK specials are the Mercedes W13 of Hamilton and Russell from the Miami Grand Prix. These feature a special box, of course, as well, and the art livery with the colorful rear wing they ran that specific race. Normal versions in the regular style packaging are out now too. The CK versions are more limited though, but essentially the model cars are the exact same. Spark then has released the 2022 World Championship winning car of Max Verstappen. They of course already released early season versions of this car, but they now have released the Japanese Grand Prix winner, the race in which Max clinched the title. This model features intermediate tires and comes with both the number 1 Parc Fermé board and the pit board celebrating the championship. They then also did a Belgian Grand Prix winner, although this model doesn't feature anything special other than it's a beautiful model car with a cool backstory with Max barging through the field of course. Spark then also released some versions of the W13 Mercedes. They did his French Grand Prix version of Lewis Hamilton. Again, nothing wrong with the model, but no idea why they made this specific version. Slightly more interesting are the Belgian Grand Prix versions of both Hamilton and Russell. Sadly, these cars didn't have the livery of the show car, even though that was actually pretty ugly. But now they just added an old style number patch on the non-existing sidepods. I mean, pretty boring. In scale 143, another GP World Verstappen special has surfaced. This is the Dutch Grand Prix winner 2022 with a special figurine standing on top of the car. The car also has used tires with rubber pickup on them. Included are the Parc Fermé board, the pit board and a special trophy for that race. and this all comes in a nice collector's box. For the Le Mans fans, Spark has released two race winners, the 1984 Porsche 956 of Pescarolo and Ludwig, and the infamous 1991 Mazda 787 of Gachot, Weidler and Herbert. Luxmart then has released the Monza version of the Ferrari F175 in scale 1/18. I just did a small unboxing and review livestream of this model, and I think it looks absolutely amazing. BBR will also release their version soon. As I mentioned in the livestream, I think this time Luxmart has done a better job on it. One of the reasons is that Luxmart now has made a cut in the rear wing upper flaps, unlike in their previous iterations of the F175, so now it has cutouts in both front and rear wings. The main reason though is that the floor on the BBR model is totally wrong. They did the lazy thing and didn't alter the floor anymore since their Bahrain Grand Prix version they released, whereas Luxmart did. The bargeboard is much bigger, for example, and the floor edge in front of the rear wheels is different. Finally then, GP Replicas and Techno models have released some nice classics. GP Replicas has come with the 1982 Alboreto Ferrari 126 C4M from the Italian Grand Prix of that year. Another classic from the Italian Grand Prix is the 1998 Schumacher winner. Techno model then has released this 1978 Brabham Alfa Romeo of Niki Lauda. Another very cool release by them is the March 751 of Vittorio Brambilla. This is the infamous Austrian Grand Prix winner of 1975, Vittorio's only win, and a race more famous for Brambilla crashing the car directly after crossing the finish line, celebrating his victory. And this special edition features a driver figurine and rain tires, and it's limited to 150 pieces only. Let's have a look now at the new announcements and upcoming releases. Last month we were very excited to show some sample pictures of the AutoArt McLaren MP46 of Senna and Berger. They now have announced the release is imminent, so this is very much something to look forward to, I think. A while ago TSM has released a 112 version of the Tyrrell P34 from the 1976 Swedish Grand Prix. They now have announced a Monaco 1977 version of Ronnie Peterson with the very cool white and blue livery. In the same scale, they will also release the 1995 Le Mans winner, the McLaren F1 GTR, all covered up in race dirt. BBR have released pictures of two very interesting 2023 Ferrari race cars. First there is the F1 car of Leclerc and Sainz, the SF23 from the season's opener Bahrain Grand Prix. The other one is the mighty 499P LMH Le Mans hypercar winner of Pierguidi, Calado and Giovinazzi. I mean, this one looks fabulous, but will have quite a hefty price tag at around €450, I believe. Rival brand Luxmart will also come with their own version, which will be less expensive, I think, but still very detailed for sure. Burago have also announced a version of their own, which will not be as detailed, of course, but also nowhere near as expensive as the Luxmart, and never mind the BBR. And from the pictures we've seen of it, I don't think it looks too bad. Another Le Mans hypercar announcement then in scale 1/18 comes from Top Speed. They will release the awesome Chip Ganassi run Cadillac prototypes from the 2022 Le Mans race and WEC series. Spark then revealed pictures of the Alfa Romeo C42 again, but this time in the Italian colors livery from the 2022 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. I mean, I'm repeating myself, but such a beauty, this car, although personally I do prefer the normal colors actually. Another announcement I wanted to mention from Spark are the Formula E cars in scale 143. I believe they will only do the 43 scales. I presume all teams and drivers will be represented as well. I know this is not the most popular championship and the cars look, a bit ridiculous, but some people might be interested anyways. GP Replicas then have lined up a few Ferrari F1 classics again, like the Elysium 1995 412 T2 from the Canadian Grand Prix. Speaking of Canadians, they will also release a 112 version of the Gilles Villeneuve Zandvoort car with the broken wheel hanging off the rear of the car. Another special Ferrari they have released greyware pictures of is the 312B3, more known as the unraced Spazzaneve or snowplow, if you will. Some other classic F1 cars by Technomodel worth mentioning are the rather quirky March 711 of Niki Lauda and Ronnie Peterson. Finally then, a brand I've never heard of called 404 Error has announced a very limited run of 99 pieces only of the now famous pink Porsche or Hoonipigosaurus in scale 1/18. This is a car the late great Ken Block drove up Pikes Peak Mountain in 2022. And that will be it for this edition of the news. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you think I missed something, let me know in the comments below. Take care, and I'll see you again in the next edition of the news.